So I guess we can begin. For those of you who I haven't met yet, my name is Olga. I'm a teacher and a teacher trainer. As you can see, I have an assistant. He will try to be nice. And today we'll be talking about how to teach a nice, interesting, productive end of the year lesson. How to plan it, how to teach it, how to entertain your student, how to make it productive and, motivate and all your ideas. I'm sure you've taught a lot of such lessons. All your ideas are greatly appreciated. So if you feel that you have something to say, feel free to turn on your cameras, your microphones, share your ideas. But let's be respectful of our very limited time. Let it be short, sweet, and to the point, okay? Not some, random thoughts about all your students. All right, then. So let's begin with some little warm-up. Here I have a collection of pictures related to
seminar.
Oh, and another thing. If you are talking not to us at the moment, we can all understand that, but please mute your microphone for that, okay? Here I have a collection of pictures that could be related to New Year, the way some people celebrate it, the way some people think about it. Can you choose a picture that you can relate to and explain why this picture means something for you and the way you celebrate New Year? As you can guess, my picture is the green one in the middle. Pajamas is my favorite New Year outfit for the moment. How about you?
The picture with a lot of food, obviously.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
About food.
Yeah, also.
Okay, what you cooking?
Mostly not about cooking, but about eating.
Ah, who's cooking then?
Mom.
Oh, you're so lucky. All right then. Anything else? Any more pictures that reflect your plans for the New Year's celebration?
Maybe the party also.
Okay, who's going to party? I don't see who's speaking.
It's me.
Uh-huh.
Anna.
Uh-huh. Okay, so what kind of party?
Well, I hope somebody will invite me to celebrate with them.
Uh-huh, so this is just a hope at the moment, not a plan.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I hope it turns into a plan soon. Right, anything about New Year resolutions, about like New Year, new me, this kind of thing, making some plans, writing some lists? Has anyone done that?
I guess it's just an emotional thing. You can improve yourself at any point. So
Yeah, especially when you are perfect, right? When you are already awesome.
Which no one is, but you can start at any point. It's good when you are young and you really believe that all your dreams can come true. But in the course of time, you understand that no matter how many plans you can make, very little of them, very few of them will become true, in fact. So that's why there is some doubt about all these resolutions. Not to get too disappointed in the future about the fact how little you managed to do.
Right, that's actually a very interesting question in terms of motivation. Oh my, this child is getting stronger and more in my computer. So in terms of motivation, it's value expectancy theory. If you see that it takes too much trouble, too much effort, you don't even start doing it, not to be disappointed. So that's a valid point. And sometimes we just know from our life experience that all those plans are not very efficient, not work, and we just don't make any plans. Anyway, let's see what we can do with our students. We don't have to make New Year resolutions with them, but maybe there's something we can discuss. And of course, we can discuss their progress. Like the year is coming to an end. We can see what happened, what they achieved, what was interesting, what was difficult, and so on. And as we can see from the poll results, 72% of you, I'm lucky to have children on the winter break, so we can get rid of my assistant for a moment. So 72% of you guys said that yes, you talk about the students' progress at the end of the year, and there's quite a group of people who said that they only discuss the progress test results, or they haven't even thought about that, or they just started teaching and they never had a chance to talk about their students' progress at the end of the year because they, you know, I haven't been teaching for such a while. It only seems logical, right? In many companies, when the year is coming to an end, they try to sum up their activities, their achievements, and so on. So we can do the same because, well, that's just feels natural to discuss what the student has done. And as we can see from the next slide, most of us think that it's a good idea to focus on their achievements, yes, so to make it positive, not concentrate on how many mistakes they make or how slowly they speak or whatever else is difficult, but to say, let's talk about what you have done, how much have you improved, and so on, which is nice to see. Why is it nice to see? Because achievements motivate us to do more. If we create situations of success for our student, we discussed it multiple times. Let me remind you, if you haven't been with us for the discussion, it's important to create such situations at your lesson so that the student feels like, oh, I have achieved something. I have done something I couldn't do before. Even if it's sometimes a bit exaggerated, like maybe you give them a speaking activity that it's a bit too easy for their level, but it boosts their confidence. It makes them feel that they can speak, they can discuss this question, like a very, very simple question with lots of scaffolding, so that, and on a topic that is interesting for them, so that they just, you know, start speaking and they cannot stop, and they can see if they're, you know, if they need some words or some structures, they have this help in front of them from you, and they feel that they can. And it gives them positive emotions, it gives them more desire to try again, and they feel that they are moving forward. By doing that, by talking about their achievements and creating situations in which they feel successful, we address both intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. So intrinsic motivation, in terms of doing something language related, we can see three main situations. The first one is, I love learning. There are people who really love that, believe me or not. There are people who just enjoy the process. A friend of mine, when she had a baby a couple of years ago, and she was staying at home for a year, she was studying whatever she could find online. English, something related to her professional sphere. Then when her baby grew up a bit, she was even attending some offline courses, and it helped her to find a better job when she was ready to return to work. She was doing it not only because of the career prospects, she really enjoyed the process. She was just having fun learning. Maybe you have such students, and well, you're lucky to have them, I would say. If you do have them, by all means, work with this kind of motivation. They just enjoy the process, and let's make the process even more enjoyable. Some people do it because they want to be successful. They want to feel that, yes, I can. Yes, I have done something that I couldn't do before. And some people are here just for fun. They want to experience something pleasant. So why not? We can help them. We can give them this pleasant experience of discussing the topics that they like and so on. As for extrinsic motivation, it's not only I need it for work. This is like, you can see here, it's only a fourth of what extrinsic motivation is made of. Some people like to be praised, and praise comes from you, from some other people, from the outside, so it's also a part of extrinsic motivation. Make sure you praise your students. Make sure when you give them feedback, it's not just some summary of their mistakes, but also, oh, you have used the structure very well. You managed to make your speech very logical, or whatever you're working with. You can give positive feedback, not only on speaking, by the way. There are more skills. So listening, reading, writing, whatever they were doing, you can always say that, oh, you have managed that. That was very good. Well done. Excellent job. Some people have quite a negative type of motivation, but it works. It pushes them forward. They feel guilty if they don't do it, or they feel embarrassed if their homework is not ready, and someone is making some funny noises. I will just try to mute you guys if I suspect that the noise is coming from you. So make sure you unmute yourself when you start speaking. So some students try to perform well, not to feel that, you know, they're a bad student, even if you're not going to, you know, scold them, criticize them. Still, they just feel that it's supposed to be done properly. There are students who do things just because, you know, everyone does that. It's supposed to be helpful. English is the language of international communication, so probably we should learn it as well. It's hard to work with such people because they don't seem to have any particular goals, but still something motivates them. They feel that they're using something like this, you know, Swiss Army knife. You never know which tool you might use, so I might as well learn English as well. So when you talk about their achievements, you can start with something maybe unrelated to English, because I could imagine that if I were a student, I wouldn't probably like to talk about my progress in English for the whole lesson, right? It's too much to discuss. I'm probably not that bright and I haven't made that much progress. So we can start with something like we started today, talk about maybe some funny pictures related to the year. You can use mine. I will share the presentation, or you can choose any other pictures and discuss like what does year mean for you? What do you usually do? How do you celebrate it, and so on. And we can, you know, move on to the major achievements, something to look back and remember. This is actually a tradition in my family. I borrowed it from my friend. I didn't invent it. We try to remember every month of the old year, like what happened, what was nice, what did we do, where did we go, and so on. You can offer the same to a student, but maybe it's hard to remember everything from every month. Although if you know that there was something interesting, you can actually remind them if you've been with them for the whole year. So here I have a list of questions that you can discuss with your student if it's something that is interesting for them. Maybe you have some experience of doing a similar thing with your students. So who would like to share how to discuss some highlights of the old year with the student, how to recollect some pleasant memories? Maybe there are some interesting ways to do it.
I think just focus their attention on the fact that the year is drawing to an end, and discuss with them how it's been for them, using the questions and their own ideas.
Okay.
To ask them, for example, if it was better than the previous one.
That works too. Yeah.
And share some of your experience, I guess, what you went through during the year.
Oh yeah, they usually appreciate that.
Yeah, it would solidify the relationship.
Yeah, that works.
Maybe we can add like what would they like to change in the coming year? Maybe what would they like to improve?
Okay, so plans too, right? Still something about their achievements in general. Maybe there's some interesting way how we can discuss these things, or is it just a list of questions, maybe some funny picture, and that's enough? What do you think?
Yeah, of course, need to ask some feedback related to their English studies.
Okay.
What they have learned, what they need to improve.
Yeah, let's move on to their English studies. And you shared a lot of questions that we can discuss with students. Most of them were somehow related to their progress. Like, how many % of English speech did you understand when you first came to the school? How many % do you understand right now? I think it's interesting to know such statistics, but kind of hard to calculate for the student, right? Or like, what topics do you think helped you most of all? So very, very practical questions. That's good. There are some students who, like we discussed before, they really enjoy learning. Most of them enjoy analyzing the way they learn. They are very conscious learners, very focused on the learning process. So that's fine. If you have such a student, by all means, discuss all those percentages. They might be able to calculate it quickly.
May I have a word here?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't do this at the end of the year, calendar year, but I do something like that at the end of the school year, actually.
Okay.
And yes, I've tried it a couple of times with my students, offline students, because I've just started learning online. And school students liked that. At the beginning of the year, we've made like how to say, scales from 1 to 10, how good they know the vocabulary, for example, the words that they have in this year, yeah? So how do they feel like they know them? The grammatics, how well do they understand listening, how well do they read? And then at the end of the year, I asked them again, so now, after the whole year, what do you think of your knowledge of the vocabulary, of your understanding the audio, and so on? And they showed the progress. They said, oh yes, I feel more confident in this. There was like 3 and now it is 5 or it is 7. And we also use the scale. For example, I asked them, it is, for example, it is 3 in the beginning of the year. And I asked them, what is in this 3? So how well do you understand? And what will be when you know that on 4? And how much you need when it will be 10? Yeah. So that's from coaching a bit. But it really works, and it was very interesting experience.
Right, that sounds like a good idea. If you guys have students and maybe you discuss something like this when they started learning at the beginning of the year, you can get back to this point and discuss it again and compare their achievements. I have read an interesting opinion from one of our colleagues recently that we all started with some, old Soviet books. Well, maybe not all of us. But those who feel that it's probably too late to make plans. So many of us studied without, any coaching techniques, without any planning, without any SMART goals. Just, we had a book, we had a teacher, we had a pile of homework, and we were just doing stuff, and somehow we ended up speaking English. So some of our colleagues feel that all those SMART techniques, SWOT techniques, they're completely unnecessary. That's a waste of time. It's a waste of effort, and so on. Well, it is a valid point, right? There are many ways to learn different things, language included. But I would say try, if there are so many people talking about it, it might hold some water. It might help your student to see, what exactly they were trying to do, how exactly it would be more efficient for this particular student, and so on. Because if you think about your own experience, I was never asked what I would like to do and in which way and what I would like to achieve and what would suit me better and so on. And maybe, who knows, if I had different, if my teachers had different methods, right? Maybe I could have had better results, or I could have achieved something sooner rather than later. So who knows? The fact that we managed to study with what was used by our teachers, it doesn't mean that it's the only way, right? Anyway, so here I suggest such questions that are not only about their progress in terms of some measurable results, but also something to maybe re-establish your rapport. Like, what was the most emotional discussion? Do you remember how we were talking about sport and we both hated and we were both criticizing those football referees or something like that? Or some interesting topic, something that they have used outside the classroom. Maybe they learned how to understand some videos better, and they started doing it just for fun. Maybe they have a lot of emails to receive at work, and you taught them how to write properly, how to write very logically. Sometimes it happens that even high-level students, while they seem to write like grammatically correct emails, they don't make much sense because they're like all over the place with their thoughts. Okay, I'll mute. Flashcards from Anastasia with the most blah 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 construction. Yeah, that's an interesting idea, and to ask each other is also an interesting idea.
Well, can I suggest an idea?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we can ask students to speak on the topic, probably on their favorite topic, and ask them if they could do that a year ago, and how successfully they could do it a year ago, and then they will understand how much their progress is.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Or maybe if you happen to have a recording, you can even play it to them, and they will be like, "Oh my God, what's that person?" All right. So you have probably seen this thing, which is also sometimes criticized by some people who think that, oh, it's too late for me to start developing my, financial sphere because, I'm not a businessman. What can I possibly do there? But still, if we think about it, even without, some coaching techniques and all those wheels and charts, if we invest in one sphere, like we decided to be a perfect teacher, and we study, we work, we read some articles, we take part in some seminars, we do courses, we work like 12 hours a day. Well, we have no life, no fun, no friends, no health in the long run. It's not really good for us. We'll be exhausted soon, and we won't enjoy all our new developed skills. We won't, have enough energy to implement them with our students. So it's just, common sense to make sure that your life is more or less balanced, that you invest not only in your professional skills or, on the contrary, not only in your financial sphere, but you take care of everything just a bit. Even if you can spend 15 minutes a day to do something for fun or to do something for your health, still it's, it's better than nothing. You can discuss it with your students, and you don't have to advertise this idea if you cannot relate to that, if you think that it's just a lot of nonsense. Still, it's a good point for discussion because it is a topic that can provoke some really interesting thoughts, really emotional discussion. If your student hates this idea, they could just tell you how exactly stupid it is to concentrate on everything. Then you lose focus of the most important thing, and so on. But anyway, you can just suggest, you can again use this picture, find something different, like what do you think of that? Would it be interesting for you to do it? What are advantages and disadvantages of doing this? If you were to make such a wheel, what spheres would you choose? You don't have to choose I don't know, finances if they're not important for you, or spiritual development. Again, you can put some other things there. How would you evaluate yourself in every sphere if you were to make this well, and so on? So who has ever done anything like this?
I have really, this is a familiar thing for me. Well, it was, I don't know, several years ago, so probably it has changed already.
Of course. I think it's just an interesting thing to do just for yourself. And you can offer something similar to your students, something that Svetlana has already talked about. Some, it can be a scale from like 1 to 10 or 20 or whatever. It could be a wheel, again, to see how balanced they are, because maybe they have excellent reading skills, but their listening skills are not that good. Maybe they have good grammar, but their vocabulary is minimal, and so on, or vice versa. I think is more more plausible. So you can see like what they should concentrate on, or maybe their will doesn't have to be balanced. Maybe we're talking about some person who mostly uses English for writing and reading, and maybe their speaking is not a priority for the moment. So that's okay. Their will be not balanced, but it will reflect their individual needs. Have you ever done anything like this, and how do your students react to that? No?
Well,
I have not done it yet, but I think that there are students who will react positively and who will be encouraged by it. But there are students who will not need it. Every case should be treated absolutely individually.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think if we do not discuss some progress, we can discuss how you feel now, to make some starting point, for example.
Yeah, we can do that. And again, you should see if it's something that could work for your student. There are some people who like numbers, who like statistics. Maybe you know this classification of auditory learners, visual, and kinesthetic. And when I told my friend about this classification, he said something like, I think I am 74% visual, 21% audio, and the rest is kinesthetic. I said, there's actually a fourth group that is not widely recognized. It's called digital. This is a person who likes numbers and, symbols and so on. So you probably belong to that category. And you can know similar things about your students, while communicating with them. You can see what could click, what could work for the student. So if you have some free spirit who is not really interested in all this structure, planning, logic, and so on, maybe there's something else that can work for this person. So after discussing our results, some interesting achievements, highlights of the year that we're saying goodbye to, we can move on to setting goals. And we've talked about it so much that you probably know more about goals than I do, but still we can talk about goals in general, not necessarily our personal goals that we are setting for the next year. Still, it's a topic that can provoke an interesting discussion. We can talk about some popular resolutions. So here we can see 10 top resolutions. How many people are interested in quitting smoking or spending more time with their family or getting organized, losing weight, and so on? Maybe a student has something to say. Maybe they have their own experience of quitting smoking. Okay, how interesting would it be for you to try maybe something else that is as challenging as to quit smoking? Or how difficult or easy was it for you to quit smoking? Again, a lot of things to discuss, and if the student is sharing something, that's another moment for us to reestablish our rapport. Besides, all those resolutions are easier made than followed, right? It's easier said than done to make a resolution to quit smoking, to quit eating sweets, and to start going to the gym. According to the statistics, only 8% of people achieve their goals. Why do they give up? Another good question to discuss with our students. What do you think, guys, by the way? Why do people give up on their resolutions?
Because to achieve them takes too much effort, probably. And it's better to try to achieve some other goal, to change the goal. When people are not successful, I'll finish my thought. When people are not successful for a period of time, they start doubting if they do it right or wrong. And probably they start doubting if they should do it at all, and change the sphere of their interest.
Yeah, that's a good point.
People set too many goals or too difficult goals.
Maybe there is also another reason that they are mostly focused on the results, but most of the people, they don't focus on the process. It's better to also process matters. If they enjoy the process, so it gives a good chance to achieve the goal as well.
Maybe they don't set time limit.
That is true. That is all
I
true.
think there is time limit because it's the year resolutions for the year. But I think that many people consider goals like their wishes. They don't put them as a plan, and they don't have a plan. How will I get there? They see the result, as somebody has already mentioned, but they don't see the way how to get the result, how to go there. And they just make a list of wishes. I want to do this, this, and that.
Or maybe the goal is unrealistic.
Yeah, that could also be the case, and Mr. Sia agrees with you in our chat, as we can see.
Yeah, and I would say once again that this is an emotional thing. New year, new me, and very soon the year stops being new, and people cannot naturally hold on to these resolutions and give up
365
instinctively.
new days, new chances.
By at least 50th new day of the new year, you will be. If you, it was very well put that if you don't have a plan on actually how you're going to make it happen,
that
most
is true.
likely you will end up giving up.
Okay, so according to the statistics, these are the results. Like what are the most popular reasons of failing the goals or giving up? And as you can see, you have guessed almost all of them, like unrealistic goals or time issues, too many things, don't reviewing their progress, like concentrating on the goal, not on the process and some intermediate results. There are some other interesting things here, like setting negative goals. And a good, for instance, could be, I don't want to be fat anymore, right? So this sounds negative. Maybe if we reformulate it in a positive way, we can see the ways to achieve it and so on. Also setting other people's goals, like everyone is learning English, maybe I should too, or my parents would be happy if I get this diploma, or whatever you are setting. How about you guys? Have you ever done anything like this that prevented you from achieving your goals?
Yeah, actually, as for me, I often underestimate timing.
Me too.
Yeah. So this is one of the main problems of my achieving goals.
For me, I can set up some vague goals, like nothing specific, but just something in my head, not formulated clearly, and that can be a problem also for me.
Okay, so maybe it's not specific enough. You don't really know what exactly you're doing. Okay.
And as for me, I think
I would.
one of the main reasons is that sometimes when I give up, I feel unlucky. Like I don't meet the people I need, and I don't get the money for what I'm doing, or I don't get the clients, or I don't find the materials. So I feel like the universe is against, and I feel helpless, and this is why I sometimes give up. That's another point. It must be number 7.
Okay, number 7. I think we can make more points. 8, 9, and 10 as well. All right. Anything else?
I would agree with number 4 because progress really must be reviewed. Because for many people, I believe it's black or white, either all or nothing.
That is true.
When one imperfect step is taken, like this is all in vain, yes. And people don't see the real progress they have made. Yeah, and as for number 6, yes, I would say we should concentrate on a limited number of things to work with for an amount of time.
Again, easier said than done.
Yes, but actually make a plan, write down on what you are going to work on, and
yeah, actually, I'm also trying to focus on this number 6. I'm forcing myself just to be focused on one thing. I'm trying to avoid multitasking.
Yes.
Well, good luck with that. Like my husband said the other day, if women couldn't multitask, the humanity would have become extinct long ago. So maybe there's a reason why we can multitask, I think. But again, to each their own. If you feel that multitasking is hard for you, don't do that. Many people are better off doing one thing at a time. And again, Yulia used to have some wishes, but not clearly formulated goals without having a plan. Okay, if we are being practical as teachers and we look at this list of reasons, what can we possibly teach here other than just discussing possible causes and maybe some solutions, how to set realistic goals and how to estimate the time properly and so on? What can we teach from the language point of view?
Imperatives. I don't know.
Okay, imperatives. But I mean, not only using it as like language material. If you look at this slide, what teaching ideas come to mind?
First, it's about unrealistic goals. I think most students start learning English with absolutely unrealistic goals that in, for example, a month, they will already speak quite frequently, or in 2 months. If they don't get such a result, they become disappointed, or at least worried, probably 1 more month, and they'll still speak frequently. And I noticed that students who have realistic goals study longer and get better results. And those who have unrealistic goals, well, they disappear. They are dissatisfied and they decide that, well, something is wrong, either a teacher or something else. Or probably I'm not fit for that language stuff.
That is quite true. But back to some language material. From what Igor was saying, I would definitely use something like, if you have a realistic goal, you will achieve it, or something like this. So we can teach conditionals here. Can we teach models here?
Yes,
like should and shouldn't. Models of deduction, past models. If I had set a realistic goal, I would have achieved it sooner, and so on. Yes, so some thinking back about some previous experience with goal setting or making resolutions. Anything else?
New Year vocabulary, everything concerning celebration.
Okay. Interesting. How exactly can we include some ornament, tinsel, reindeer, or whatever in this discussion?
Infinitives, like to enjoy eggnog, to watch the fireworks, something like that.
Connectors such as because, that is why. So, etc.
We may ask the same question that you asked us. We may ask our students, and what is their problem, and to discuss it and try to find some solution.
Yeah, exactly. We can also discuss things that can help us stick to our New Year resolutions. And one of them could be make resolutions that motivate you. So don't do things that you have to force yourself to do. Choose to do something for fun. Like, I will watch my favorite TV series in English every week. Why not, right? This is something that you do anyway. So now you start doing it in English. It could be challenging at first, but then you will enjoy it. It doesn't have to be a TV show. It could be anything. It could be something related not to your English progress English learning, you can discuss one thing that your student would enjoy doing. It could be something like try, I don't know, a new type of coffee every week. Why not? Loves coffee. And then again, it could be something for you to discuss at the lesson. Okay, can you guys give an example of resolutions that motivate?
The students are motivated by such things as they will be able to speak, for example, while traveling abroad.
Right, but for that they need, you know, an actual situation of traveling abroad. If the student is not planning to do it anytime soon, then it could be hard. Anything else? Maybe something about yourself. What could be a resolution that you could set and you can really stick to it because it's just fun for you to do? Like to watch a new film every month. That's quite doable. And if you like watching films, that could probably work. Could probably stick to it.
Yeah, exercising comes to mind.
Okay.
Go on a diet.
First.
So Anton, more about exercising. What exactly could be your resolution?
Mine? I will keep on running as much as possible.
Oh, maybe reading some well, like I don't know, read these and just try to do it and discuss it somehow. I don't know, just being able to read some recipes in English. I don't know, to watch video, because so many women, they are interested in like cooking, you know.
That is true. That is true. So just choose what is fun for you to do, and you will probably stick to that. Also, if they want to set some goals for learning English, help them make this goal SMART. Even if you haven't ever done it while setting your own goals as an English learner, you might try. It might work for your student. We again discussed it multiple times. Let me just sum it up quickly. It should be focused on a particular skill, not just I want to know English better. It should be about reading, speaking, listening, writing, you know, something particular. It should be measurable, and measurable doesn't always mean numbers. That I will speak 80% faster than I did last year. That's, you know, very hard to measure, in fact. It should be aligned with their proficiency level, you know, so goals for an elementary and upper intermediate student will be different. It should be related to what they need to do in real life, and ideally we should have some time frame for that. So if we say something like, I will learn 10 new words every day and use it in my speech, well, we have a number 10, which could be measurable sometimes here, but here I would say that this goal is not very smart. But if the student says that I would like to learn how to ask for clarification when I don't understand how my foreign colleagues are describing something, and I would like to use those phrases to clarify what I don't understand in my conversations with them, that sounds like a SMART goal to me. Because it's a particular skill, speaking. By using or not, the student can measure his or her progress by how exactly he's able to clarify, and it's related to what they do in their real life. Another thing is to put resolutions in writing. I used to have, I'm not even sure I still have this file, a magic letter to Santa that worked for many of my students. Believe me or not, they shared a lot of stories how they wrote down their wishes in this letter, and miraculously by the end of the year they achieve them. What do you think about that? Do you think it's important to put resolutions in writing or not?
Yes, it is. It will help you to revise your resolution, come back to it, and yes, remember the reason, remember the why, remember the time bounds, everything which is related to this resolution.
Okay, maybe there's someone who thinks that it's not important, which is a valid opinion.
Yeah.
So who believes that it's not?
I still think that's why it's no. I still believe it's quite a useful thing, and what is actually written already, it couldn't be erased. Yeah, and so you can whether you want it or not, you would follow it. Try at least.
Okay, someone says, oh, that's Elisa, if I'm not mistaken, says that she believes that it's not important to write it down. Can you please turn your microphone and tell us why?
I wouldn't actually waste the whole last lesson on setting some goals, even if they're smart, whatever, and planning something for the next year. I would just do something funny. I would cheer up my student. I would do, I don't know, some Christmassy things or New Year stuff. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not just the person who sets goals in general. That's why it's not understandable. If it's not understandable for me, I can't do that for my students, I believe.
Fair enough. Yeah, you should practice what you preach, right? So you should.
But actually, they've been with me for 3 years, like several of them, without setting any goals. So I believe that it's not a must.
Of course, but here I mean not necessarily the resolutions in terms of I will improve my English and this and that. They could make a resolution like my student, one of my students, now it comes to mind, she wanted to it was some like, you know, real life goal. I don't really remember what exactly. Like, okay, let's say buy a new apartment, and it happened. Maybe because she wrote it down, maybe just because something else happened in her life, but she admitted that that probably worked. This magic Santa letter helped her.
I like the idea that it's magic and it's so fancy. I mean, it looks good. Yeah, why not? Yeah, you can say that it's magic. It works. Yeah, so try it. And so if it's fun, I would use it. Of course, I understand that it's not just for English.
Yeah, that's just for fun and not necessarily English related.
But you know, the SMART goals and resolutions, they're so boring words nowadays, I suppose. It's like what everybody does all the time, every year, especially at the end of the year. And my students, when they just hear that, oh, thanks a lot. They can see that on their faces. No, thank you very much.
Yeah, again, like I said, it shouldn't be. Sorry, Svetlana.
I can say that I use a bit of it, I make the lesson funny. We discuss different traditions, New Year traditions, and as one of the traditions of the New Year, we discuss the resolutions and all that we've already mentioned, how often do we get what we put in the resolutions, and whether they make any wishes, whether they make any plans, something like that, but not as putting goals on the SMART model, not something like that. But perhaps if a student is interested in that method, you can use it in the lesson, at the lesson, why not? Or you can make it more fun and just use it as one of the traditions.
I think the problem with the goals is that by the time you have achieved them, they are not as important to you as they were when you set them. you have already new goals, because mostly people have different goals, several goals. And when they achieve one of them, it's very often, it's not too important for them, so they can't get joy out of it.
Well, there's nothing wrong with revisiting your goals, changing them if you don't need them anymore. That's life, you know. You should be flexible. Also, if you do set a goal, it's important to have not just a goal, but a plan how to achieve it. Like someone said before, sometimes we focus on this goal and we don't think about the process. So do think about the process, make a plan. Like if I use this watching a TV series as an example, it could be watch it on Friday after work. So now I know when my time for watching it is, and I will do that. I will use subtitles because it helps me focus on the vocabulary. I can have a pen and paper at hand, write down some phrases, look them up in a dictionary, check the meaning, and then I can see what exactly I can use in my speaking to enlarge my vocabulary. That could be a plan related to English. You can make a similar plan related to like exercise and jogging. When will I jog? Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the morning before work. Okay, this is my plan. I will also invite my friend to do the same with me, so then we can hold each other accountable, and it's more fun to do it together, and I can maybe download some application for jogging so that, you know, it helps me do it properly. And what else? I can buy new running shoes. That could be my reward after jogging for 3 months in a row, or whichever comes to mind, whichever makes you confident that you can really achieve it. But again,
I can share an interesting idea. There is an action plan which is not to achieve something. You know what people usually do? They just set some goals, make a plan to do this and that, and so actually not even boring. It's hard, right? Instead of doing that, you may make a plan of relaxing. For example, you can plan what you're gonna do it shouldn't be just at the weekend, it should be every day. Just plan what you're gonna do to rest, to have fun, to entertain, not to do things. And in between those times, you will do stuff. So it works sometimes, especially for those who hate plans like me.
Yeah, absolutely. Plan some fun. Plan 15 minutes for yourself every day. Five is hard to plan.
Or you plan just your awards, right? Not your stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, relaxing and having rest is also a goal. Okay, so that works too. And another thing is stick with it. As we can see, most of you believe that we really can help your student with the goals. Some of us even think that we should reward them for achieving goals, which could be nice, actually. Some extrinsic motivation never hurts. If they know they will be praised, they will do some of their favorite activities. They might, be more willing to do that. But mostly just, reminding them from time to time, revisiting those goals, reassessing those goals together. Mostly that's enough. But ideally, of course, we want to have autonomous learners who are responsible for their progress, for their success, for everything. But that's in the ideal world. Still, if they feel that they can discuss it with you, it never hurts, to have a good working relationship with your student. Someone mentioned fun. Of course, it's always nice to have fun. Another thing that you can discuss with your student, even if you don't want to do it yourselves, you can just talk about what other people do. Something like a wish board. Many people do that. Some of them use just magazine clippings, so they physically, cut out some pictures and stick them on a big piece of paper, maybe with some quotes, maybe with some spheres of life that they need to develop. Maybe they just write down different things related to family or friends or happiness and so on. Some people draw if they like drawing. Some people do it in PowerPoint. I'm one of those people, actually. I have done a couple of those wish boards. I cannot say that I have achieved everything, but it just feels nice, you know, to look at some pictures related to the things that I would like to have, to achieve, to accomplish, or just to somehow have them in my life. And you know, I can actually share something. I think it was like 4 years ago, and I was not particularly happy at that moment for various reasons, and I just started writing down different wishes that I had. Some of them were pretty practical. Some of them were, you know, some of them seemed really hard to influence,
Achieve.
but most of them, well, not even achieve, but just it was something that didn't depend on me at all. But suddenly they just started happening. Maybe if you try doing something like this, it might happen to you, or maybe it was a complete coincidence. I don't know, but it was just fun for me to look for pictures, and it was fun for me to see that things happen. This is my experience. Sometimes I share those boards with my students to show that, see, that's what I did last year. And this thing I have achieved. That thing, not so much. This thing I completely failed because I forgot about it. So I'm human, I'm not perfect, but still some kind of planning, some visualization of what I want, it gives me joy. So it could be interesting for you as well. Also, we can discuss different videos. Coincidence, so of course, you know, I think so too. As we've mentioned, this is one of New Year traditions, and here I have a collection of videos, some clipping from friends. Many people have watched for development of their English skills. A monologue by Ellen DeGeneres, you know, the Ellen show. Some other funny things where people discuss like why they do it, or maybe why it's a bad idea, how much they quit, how much they failed those resolutions. They are mostly short, funny, and just, you know, interesting to discuss. And we could spend maybe another 3 hours discussing each of them as a plausible lesson material and what questions for discussion we could use or what grammar we could teach, but I'm sure you can do it yourselves. Another thing is to discuss some articles. Again, what are the most popular resolutions? Why do people fail? Can you make some resolutions that are purely for fun, not for your personal development, but like we said, 15 minutes a day to do something that you enjoy? Again, that could be something that you can use with your high-level students because those are, you know, authentic materials. One of them seems to be pretty simple. You can use it with lower-level students. There are even some highlighted words that you can see definitions for, so something, you know, to work with their vocabulary. You can adapt some of them. You can use it as some writing prompts and so on. I'm sure with your teaching experience, you can just make the most of any material that you can find here. So our time is over, and this is pretty much all I had to share with you today. And I would like to get some feedback, how useful it was. Can you see something that you can use with your students at the end of the year?
Yeah, I find it useful, and especially these like additional materials that you provide, like videos and articles. And also, I like your letter about SMART resolutions. I liked it a lot. Yeah, and actually, in Skyeng, I didn't have experience of New Year's lesson, but I'll try to use something from today's meeting as well. Thanks a
Okay,
lot.
thanks.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you. Good food for thought,
Okay.
as usual.
That's nice to hear. Thank you.
Yes, for me, it was extremely useful because this will be my first new year in my teaching experience, and it was extremely necessary for me to know all these ideas, all these rules.
Okay, great then.
Yeah, always useful, and you come up all the time with great ideas, and I always I try to use and implement them just as soon as it's possible. And of course this new year like lesson quite good and interesting, and yeah, really great. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, wanted to say thank you also to all the teachers. I've been participating for a few weeks now. It's been helpful for me, not only for the Sky Ink team, but for other teachers to share their ideas. I learned a lot from them also. Thank you. Happy New Year to all.
Okay, thanks for coming today. I hope it was of some assistance. I hope you all can see at least something that you can implement with your students. So enjoy your teaching, enjoy those fun holiday lessons, and hope to talk to you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.